chasing whatever kills. For so long I forgot how it feels in the dark of night. Tabletops counting eyes in the early hours. Stone cold inside, banging drops, dancers, never needing answers. We wander all alone, but we can't find the street lights gone. We wander all alone, but we can't deny the street light people.
One shot on stage, what you got to play? Generic drops for days, still the people rage. Am I not insane? Can you stop and explain why these drops are so lame? Is money buying you fame? I'm fucking on, I'm killing it with this song. You haters can sing along or go back where you belong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving up, moving on. Cause I took your girl to prom, she can't help but sing this song.
Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high progress. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high progress. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
She's so on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad, come on baby, bring it back. I'm so gone, faded off a 30 rack. She's so on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad, come on baby, bring it back. I rap with a passion, yeah, I got it in me. I've been waiting quite a long time for y'all to hear me. It's about damn time you put some stock into me. You're either sponsoring me or fucking bothering me. And the fact is, we just practice all this madness. That is why our status is like a canvas. Chances our advancement is enhancing, and this new expansion's like a mansion.
Comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high progress. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high progress. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're driven.
There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Are you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Are you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fight back.
You ain't gonna make it, you ain't never ever gonna break it. You can never beat them and they're better than you face it. Thinking that they give a damn, you're not thinking straight, kid. No, they don't give a damn, you got what I'm saying? I'm not fucking playing, I'll give it to you straight, man. There's too many others and you're not that great, man. Stop what you're saying, stop what you're making. Everybody here knows that you just faking. Nah, I don't wanna hear it anymore, I don't wanna hear it anymore. All these fucking thoughts, they are not what I need anymore. I'm about to shut the motherfucking door on all you poor ass haters with your heads in the clouds. Talking out loud so proud, you better shut your goddamn mouth before I do more speak out. It's about to head south.
You're never gonna make it. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Are you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Are you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fight back.
Hey guys, welcome back to Canna-Heads ND, episode number 6, your once-a-week podcast for the latest in cannabis local and national news every Sunday at 6:30, 6:45. We kind of started a little bit late because we kind of had to push it back a little bit. Typically we go for an hour to an hour and a half. My name is Phil.
I'm Anthony.
Hey, we got it this time. Last week, Faye was on, and I pointed to her, and she was like, "Hmm." But welcome back to the show, everybody. If you'd like to support ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act to reach new heights in advertising or anything like that, or just the cause in just general, you can donate at the Streamlabs link below, which should be in the description here. Otherwise, I will actually post it right now because I am trying to be a little bit more active in chat. Yay! So you guys can donate on this. If you guys do donate, you can also throw a little message in and let us know if you have a topic or a take on anything. You can also post in there as well. What ends up happening is this happens. There you go. And I'll be able to read the text a little bit better in the actual feed, and I'll kind of say it online. Also, today we will be doing Discord call-ins. So if you are not part of the Discord group, feel free to be a part of the Discord group. I will send out a invite link right about, I should have had this preset. Here we go. You guys can join the Discord. This is usually where we actually have most of the conversations. So if you want to be a part of the show, you have any comments or suggestions or anything like that, you can join the Discord group here. It is actually a pretty active group, and we'll be jumping into the room that will be taking the calls, and that'll be the on-air voice channel. So if you join on that group, you can definitely jump into the on-air room when we do take in the calls. You can also check us out online at ndforfreedom.org. We're kind of working on moving the, well, we did move the website over to the .com right now. It'll be .org. Well, the .org does go to the .com, but it forwards, so the website URL changes to the .com. But we will be using a little bit more of the .org because we're an organization, so we should definitely be taking advantage of the .org. But we're going to be launching the petition locator, and I know I've been saying this many weeks in a row, but we will actually be fully launching it after the stream. That's like the next thing that I'm going to be doing after this. So you can find a petitioner or a business that is near you to sign the petition. It will be on the top of the page. The donate button will actually be changing to the locator button. So you'll be able to click it, type in your zip code, and it'll find you the nearest person or the nearest business that will be taking in signatures. So if you haven't signed yet, and you do need to find a place to sign, it will be on the website after this. Otherwise, you can reach out to us on the page. We'll always be able to help you. We'll always be more than happy to assist you in finding somebody to sign with. If you want to get involved or anything like that, there's a contact us page, or there's a little form for the volunteers. If you have any kind of, if you just want to go out and get signatures, there is the full document that you can download and print on your personal computer. If you need help with that, I can just mail you out one. I know I got a couple to mail out here this week. Other than that, if you have any kind of special skill, if you're good at streaming, anything tech related, anything like that, we are always looking. It's not, for right now, I think we're okay in the tech field, but we are always looking, and we always will love the extra help. I know David Garuba, he really helped a lot when it comes to that locator. He put in all the businesses on there. He fixed the little glitch that we had. And then, yeah, so he's totally helpful. But if you have anything to, if you see a need, fill a need. So if you have any ideas, anything like that, feel free to reach out to us on that contact us page, and I would be more than happy to speak to you about any ideas you may have. Just kind of making sure that it's legal, or if your idea has to do with like tech or anything that we can help with as well, we'll be more than happy to assist you with that as well. The ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act is a constitutional petition circulating in North Dakota that, if passed, would allow anyone over the age of 21 to possess, grow, and consume cannabis. The sale of cannabis for profit or for commercial sale will need registration. And the reason why it's a constitutional measure and not a legislative one is it does provide the protection of any law changes, anything like that will actually have to come back to the voters or us, whichever one. We are the voters, basically, so it'll come back to the voters, to you guys, basically, and you guys will be able to have your voice be heard on any topics that they might have to changing this petition. So that's if passed, as well as it will allow the legislators to set up their own system for taxes, for anything like that, legal, like, what the, if you're caught breaking the petition or breaking the law as far as the specifics of that measure, it will also provide the legislators to having a system that they can create themselves. We are not lawyers. We are not accountants. We are not people who know a lot about taxes. And because of that, that's the reason why we are a constitutional measure and not a legislative measure. Or what is it, if it's a legal thing? What's the... So what would legalize ND's measure be if they submit? It's a
It'll be a statutory measure.
statutory measure. That's the word I'm looking for. So in a statutory measure, they kind of have to lay those things out, and that's the reason why we're short, sweet, and to the point in our measure. It's a page long. The first page is the sponsors, and the second page is the actual text. So if you agree and would like to support the cause, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook at the page that you're watching this on, ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, or on we are also on YouTube. So you can also check us out on YouTube at Canna-Heads ND is the name of that group or that channel. So feel free to reach out to us on that, as well as if you like this kind of a show, this kind of layout type of thing, podcast is what most people will call us, even though I don't like the word podcast. If you like these kinds of shows, we will also be on KRFF Radio Free Fargo at 95.9 on Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. with Greg Wilson, and it will also be uploaded to the YouTube page as well. So you can definitely consume the podcast at your leisure. Other than that, we're just going to kind of jump into a couple little house cleaning things. I personally, the way that I see politics might be a little bit different than a lot of other people. For me, when it comes to politics or anything like that, my views are my own, but I am respectful of other people's views. Whereas some people, and this isn't to throw shade, this is a natural occurrence and happens to me as well. And it's a thing that does happen. Some people just kind of see that if you're not for my view, you're not for the actual issue. So it's either my way or the highway type of view. And the way that I like to call it is blood sports, because it usually ends up turning into very toxic conversation, and usually frays away from the actual topic, and the actual conversation just turns into personal attacks. So I just kind of wanted to do a couple little house cleaning things. Again, for the people that are going to be on this stream and the people that I'm doing this on, I just kind of do want to forewarn, these comments are on a public page. You have posted on that public page, and this isn't to attack you or, to make fun of you or anything like that. These are just examples, and as well as the viewers, again, with the way that I'm trying to angle this, please don't attack these people. Please don't send hate their way. I am not for that at all. If you do, and you are a part of the measure, and in that regard, I'm not like the boss or anything like that, but it definitely probably would not be acceptable with everybody else. So please do not send hate to anybody. These are just examples. There's been more than one instance of this. So again, these are just examples. I'm just going to kind of do a little not foreshadowing, like just a little bit of a story beforehand. So there's an event that was posted by KX News Minot about the Faces of Recovery. I think it's a rally. It's basically the First Lady Catherine Burgum. I don't know how to say the name. Anyway,
A for effort.
right. So they have kind of like a rally or like a group that's going on called the Faces of Recovery. They aim to help end the stigma of addiction. So we had an idea of promoting the petition there respectfully. So the view in recovery, and this is my personal experience, there's multiple views. So a lot of people will go for the AA, CBD, not CBD, wow, DBT, CBT perspective, where you're talking about the thoughts that you have in your head and acting on them, and either DBT and CBT are kind of the same in that regard. You are actively thinking about the thoughts of using, the thoughts of, depression, anything like that. You're actively thinking about them and how they have a response to your day-to-day life. So there's a perspective that, you know, the people who are entering recovery and they're addicted to opiates, for instance. This is my personal experience. They're addicted to opiates. I was a pill user, a heroin user, and research chemical opiates, which are probably the absolute worst opiates that you can be a part of. When addicted to opiates, first of all, opiates are a deadly drug. So when you're buying it illicitly, that's where it becomes very, very deadly. You don't know what you're purchasing. The only thing, as far as if you're buying heroin or a research chemical on the street, you don't know what you're purchasing. It could be fentanyl. It could very well be fentanyl. It's very dangerous, and that's the reason why a lot of people overdose, is they purchased bad heroin or research chemical opiate. It does happen in pills as well, where they are pressed and they contain fentanyl. Either way, it's a deadly addiction, and some people, while they don't want the full sober recovery situation, they do want to save their lives and not overdose on a drug. And some people, when it comes to withdrawal effects, it's usually in opiate recovery, the first 72 hours is crucial. The reason why is opiate withdrawal usually lasts about 72 hours. So during that time, you have night sweats, you have constant, just, it's weird, but like a mental reoccurring thing of, I know how to fix this, let's go get high, or let's go take this pill just to take the edge off type of thing. And that usually does reset you, by the way, for the people who have thought that. So there's a lot of that. So there's some people who will cling on to cannabis to help in recovery, help through the withdrawal effects. And as far as cannabis goes, the only withdrawal of cannabis is a mental one, the whole wanting to get high type of thing, or wanting to medicate. So it's kind of like trading one thing for another. Anyway, I'm rambling here, but that view is sometimes looked down upon by people in recovery. They think that if you're going to be sober, you have to be off all drugs, and that also, in some people's minds, also contains not taking your antidepressants or your anti-anxiety medication, anything that would be the underlying cause of your use. Some people are under the impression that in order to be fully sober, fully clean, you have to stop everything. And like I was saying before, that is somebody's view. That is a valid view. I can understand their view. It is okay to have that view. I mean, who am I to say if it's okay or not? But it's a thing that does happen. So we were going to be respectfully petitioning there, and somebody had thought that that was disrespectful because it wasn't the views of their own, and it turned toxic very fast. So let's just I'm just going to scroll through it super quick, but basically they had said that, it was disrespectful to be doing that, and there was just kind of a back and forth. This was, it was okay. There was a little bit of attacking that came from this person, and that's fine because that's their view. They're obviously going to stand up for their view. I wouldn't expect anything less. I would expect the same from me. Like, if I have a view, I'm not just going to turn over and be like, all right, you're right. No. So the thing that it got toxic was, and I don't know who this person is, but people have pasts. I have a past. You can go ahead and Google me. I'm totally fine with that. But bringing up their past legally and civilly is not okay. You're not going to change somebody's mind based on their legal history or any issues that they may have in their past. That's where it irks me. Obviously, it's just me, but I wouldn't want that treatment done to me. Like, I wouldn't want my past thrown in my face just because I disagree with your view. So, like, stuff like this, like, if you do that kind of stuff, I think you're just as bad as a prohibitionist. I'm just going to be completely honest here. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't ever
No,
want.
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's.
Using somebody's past against them simply because you disagree with them is unacceptable on every level.
Yeah, and it's a thing that happens a lot in everything. Not only in this situation, it happens in every single drama out there. I feel like using somebody's past to dictate their, like, how wrong they are, I don't even understand what that argument is. Like, how do you have an argument saying that their view is wrong by using something that has nothing to do with the conversation? Anyway, it kind of went on a little bit. There was somebody that said that they were being hostile in the way that this discussion was going. And this is where a very far reach was made, and we were called racist. Somebody had posted, "You need new leaders. That aren't racist." Again, I was just like, well, somebody else had said that, hey, you know, who's racist? Like, what's going on with the racism thing? Again, a racist view is, I don't know, you're obviously entitled to your views, but once your views infringe on somebody else, that's when I'm just kind of like, I'm not going to play ball with that. I'm not going to back it up or anything like that. I'm not going to follow along with your ideology in that sense. I'm 100% sure that this person didn't mean to be racist. 1000% sure that there was absolutely nothing racist said in that thread. And the thing that it kind of got mumbled a little bit was throwing out the racism card when your race wasn't mentioned once. The only time it was mentioned was by you. And then to just throw that card out there when there was no necessity for it, that's kind of lost at that point. If that's your argument, you've kind of lost. If something was said racist, I can understand that. But the conversation then just turns the other way, and addiction and the use of a substance for another thing, that didn't get brought up ever again. That entire conversation was racism. I don't know. What do you think?
Same thing you just said. It wasn't racist until it was made racist. About something that wasn't even racist.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Also, like, I can understand her thought process and being like, you know, the word hostile, though, like, just seemed not like a racist term. Like, if somebody is going to be racist, they're probably going to use the stereotype word for it. I don't know what the stereotype words are. I only know one of them, and that's obviously the N-word, and that's the only ones I know. But, like, stuff like that, it wasn't meant to be for racism. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. When you guys are having conversations with other people, attacking their past, or attacking something that has absolutely nothing to do with their conversation, and being like, using that as a crutch or as a shield, I'm sorry, but like, that's toxic. That doesn't need to be occurring. So just be mindful of that kind of stuff going forward. Obviously, I'm not the one like that's telling people what to do and stuff like that, but I'm just gonna throw my 2 cents in on that topic. I don't know. And that kind of goes into the next one. Differing points of view is not a threat to your views. If you're gonna have an intellectual conversation with somebody, or a debate, throwing their knowledge of that topic is valid, but throwing in their knowledge of single thing that happened before that topic even had to be brought up, or that issue became an actual issue, it doesn't add or remove from the conversation at all. And because of that, it just turns into drama, and that's not what I'm here for. I don't know. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there, just because you have a differing point of view doesn't mean that you have to attack the person that's having a different point of view. Like,
And we encourage debate. Like, please, like, share your point of view. Give us your opinion, you know.
yeah, and
Varying opinion is a beautiful thing. That doesn't mean that it's not a personal attack simply because somebody has a differing point of view.
yeah, and like the best place, I mean, I'm always on, like literally always on. An unhealthy amount of on, basically. Like, I'm on Discord like all day, every day, almost when I'm sleeping. If I could figure out a way to be on Discord while sleeping, I would figure it out. Discord is probably the best place to actually have a conversation. If you don't have a Discord or anything like that, I mean, it's easy to get a Discord, but if you don't have one, you don't want to be a part of that type of thing. Facebook is fine. You just gotta keep it professional, I guess. So, Discord, again, I threw out that link at the beginning there. Feel free to join the Discord and talk to us and have a conversation with us. I mean, I'm more than happy to have a conversation about many topics. If I don't know anything about the topic, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I don't. Sorry, but like,
Well, look.
Yeah, and if you have the story, like if you want to give me sources so I can learn and I can read up on it, please feel free to throw those out, and I would be more than happy to read it and then come up to what my thoughts are. I don't know why my thoughts would matter a lot, but whatever. I'll come up to a conclusion, and we can have a conversation if it's a different conclusion. I am more than happy with having a conversation with somebody and learning from their point of view, learning what their thought process is. I apparently really, really like that. I don't know. So yeah, that's just kind of what I'd like to say on that issue. Yeah, just don't be... How about this? Don't be toxic. So yeah, just a small little bit there that went for like way too long, but whatever. Another thing that came up, we were on Point of View. Actually, Jody Vetter was on Point of View, but our organization was on Point of View because Jody Vetter is the chairperson. So I just kind of wanted to go through it and see what everybody thought. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip from Point of View, and in there's a couple things I can't pause it, so I'll talk about it afterwards. So we'll talk about, where the context kind of got blurred. I'm not saying the person was taken out of context fully. It just kind of got blurred. So let's watch this. That's not the thing that I wanted to do. Oh, I know why. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yeah. You can tell I was super prepared when it came to my layouts. There we go. So here we go. Oh, okay, now... Okay. Try this one again. There we go.
Jody Lynn Vetter, she's the chair of the North Dakota Freedom for Cannabis Act, joins us tonight in studio. It's great to have you here. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about your act and what exactly you're trying to accomplish.
We are trying to end prohibition for cannabis in North Dakota with the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act. It's a constitutional amendment that gives adults 21 years and older the freedom to possess, consume, grow cannabis.
So why are you trying to change the Constitution rather than just change the statute?
We're not actually changing the Constitution, we're adding to the Constitution.
Adding to it, but
Just giving
you're
the personal-
changing it.
We're giving personal protection to cannabis in the Constitution, basically because with working with the legislature, with the medical amendment that came forth and all the changes they made to it, and we're still trying to fight for the things that 64% of the people voted for in North Dakota. And it's been 3 years later.
Do you think, though, that your opponents will use that as a political cudgel, going, hey, they're trying to change our Constitution, that's sacred?
I really don't believe so. This is
Okay.
really about personal freedom, personal choice, whether you want to use cannabis or not use cannabis.
So, and are you talking, how many, I mean, you're going to limit the amount that people can have? Or?
12 plants, 6 plants being flowering.
That means nothing to me. So what does that mean from a consumption standpoint?
It depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it for raw cannabis, or if you're making edibles with it, or it depends on what you're doing with it, how much you're going to use or how much you're not going to use. Typically, a plant could grow between 4 to 6 ounces. Depends on how good you are of a gardener, you know.
Okay. How good your green thumb is.
Right, yes.
We had the U.S. Surgeon General in Bismarck yesterday, and one of our reporters out there asked him about marijuana use and things like that. I want to share with you a little bit about what he had to say and then just give you a chance to comment on it.
Here in North Dakota, we saw that the rates of young people using marijuana are about 15%. Over 1 in 10 young people say that they've used marijuana in the last month, and I'm worried about the impact that's going to have on the developing brain. We know that using marijuana increases your risk of dropping out of high school. It increases your risk of attempting to take your life by suicide, and it can cause permanent lowering in your IQ. So I want young people and pregnant women to hear this and to understand that no amount of marijuana usage is safe in regards to the developing brain.
So that's our U.S. Surgeon General saying, hey, no amount is safe for the brain, lowers the IQ. He says there's, I guess, a connection to suicide. What say you?
I haven't heard the suicide connection, but he's saying that the rate for teen use is 1 in 10?
I think so. I mean, he's just saying it's more than the national average. And basically what he's saying is, look, people should not be using this because it's going to lower IQ, it's going to cause, damage to the brain.
In the states that have legalized, the teen use has remained flat, which means it hasn't changed to higher or lower. It's remained the same. Also, DUI rates have actually gone down overall in states that have legalized, and North Dakota is a legal state. So that just goes to show that the illegality of cannabis hasn't really done anything to stop teens from having access to it. So they're still acquiring it. And I argue that the drug dealer on the street doesn't care whether you're 21 or whether you're 18 or whether you're 15. The licensed dispensaries are going to be checking ID. So regulation works, prohibition really doesn't.
That's a fair assessment. We appreciate your time, and I know this is a ways away from actually taking place and being on the ballot. So as you get more information, just let us know. Do you have a website where people can get more info?
Yep, it's ndforfreedom.com. Feel free to drop us a line. You can help petition.
All right. Thank you very much. I know there's a
Thank you.
legalized ND as well. So looks like something's going to be taking place here, possibly on the ballot coming up in 2020. So please share your point of view with us. Are you yay or nay when it comes to legalizing recreational marijuana here in the great state of North Dakota? All right, stick around.
So yeah, that was the point of view clip. The reason why I wanted to play it in its entirety is I kind of get annoyed when people play a video and then pause it, but we might be doing that a little bit later too. The thing that I found very interesting about this was the way that he had talked about the Surgeon General had being used, had said that it lowers IQ and it raises your risk of suicide and stuff like that. It actually kind of takes a little bit out of context. And I don't think it was done on purpose. There was no, bad, it's not, they weren't being evil and trying to, attack us. It wasn't like a gotcha moment. But I did find it interesting. So the guy that they had talked to, his name is Jerome Adams. He is the Surgeon General. On June 29th, 2017, President Donald Trump nominated him to become the Surgeon General of the United States. And he had, let's see, what was the date of this? I suppose I can't see the actual date. Anyway, he had a hearing last week, and I was actually going to cover it, but and I'm going to cover it next week, by the way, like the actual full-on recording. Just kind of clip it out. I just didn't have time today to do it, but basically, he had testified last week about the use of cannabis for pregnant females or pregnant women and for underage use. So our measure is 21 or older. There's some statistics. I haven't found the exact statistic that proves it on the dot. There's some statistics that do say that the brain stops developing at the age of 25. I'm not 100% sure about brain development or anything like that, but I can, I guess not attest, but kind of affirm that if somebody is growing up and they're finding, you know, they have issues like with depression or anxiety or anything like that, and while cannabis does help with depression and anxiety, there's been a lot of data about that. They do kind of cut it off at like 21, I guess, because the use of an intoxicant can be a crutch. So if if you're using cannabis to get away from your problems, you can kind of lose those coping skills. Like you won't have the opportunity to learn those coping skills that is very essential for life, because nobody has a happy life. Oh, okay, that sounded really depressive. Nobody has a life without any issues in it. I suppose is the best way to explain it. So that was kind of his explanation, is like they've seen, I guess, statistics, and they do have some backing up of these statistics, where it will disrupt the endocannabinoid system, which is important to a healthy pregnancy and fetal development, birth development, or brain development. So like for the use of people who smoke while pregnant. There's, I guess, some issues with cannabis use. I don't know all the, there's sources here that I can pull up, but basically what he went out last week and said was, hey, this report here, this is the most recent information that we have, and this is what we found. If we agree with it or not is a completely different topic, but that clip that he played during POV, I believe they just basically asked the same question to get that clip out of him, or to get that statement out of him, because it was the same statement that he said at the House hearing, was about underage use and for pregnancy. It wasn't about adults. And the question that was asked to Jody, that Chris Berg had asked Jody, was in general, basically taking the whole underage, developing brain, and pregnancy. That part was kind of taken out and was asked as a generalized question. So I love the way that she changed the conversation in the way that she moved it, steered it in the right direction. And I love that defense that she had. Your friendly neighborhood drug dealer isn't going to be asking you for an ID. She's got a point. The drug dealer doesn't care about, well, some do. I'm not saying whatever. There's some drug dealers that, don't sell to underage children. Huh?
They have a moral code.
Yeah. I mean, this is a thing that does happen. And so the way that she changed the conversation to having a dispensary and the regulation and all of that stuff will help in curbing the use for underage individuals. And she did say that, in Colorado, it's about stayed flat. And that's actually a lot better than what a lot of people were expecting. A lot of people were expecting cannabis sales to be kind of treated like tobacco sales where there's a slight possibility that you won't get carded. But if you go to a liquor store, which is kind of, I'm not saying it's the same, but it's an intoxicant. If you go to a liquor store, your chances of getting carded are a lot higher. I mean, I'm not saying every single time they card you, but I mean, have you noticed that? Like, I guess you don't smoke cigarettes, but
Well, I used to.
yeah, so like, I don't know, if you kind of took the same thing, would you see dispensary cannabis sales to being closer to a tobacco sale or an alcohol type sale as far as your chances of being carded?
You know, I'm going to go on a limb, and this is going to sound a little strange. No.
Go ahead.
I guess I would say more alcohol, simply because they're much more stringent.
Right.
I mean, especially in the state, they're very, very stringent about alcohol sales. And most of them you hear about underage drinking, it's coming from somebody of age was convinced to go buy it. I never really hear about, I'm sure it happens, but I never really hear about somebody, trying to slip by and not getting carded here.
Yeah. And as far as like with cigarettes go, I mean, that does happen a little bit more often. They and another thing is like North Dakota, for instance, actually is, I wouldn't say it's the coolest thing that they do, but in North Dakota, and I think in many, like probably every single state, they run like busts. So one day they'll find somebody who looks underage, like looks like they're 16. I don't know. Those special type of people who look underage, like look way younger than they are.
The lucky ones.
Right. They'll look for those people. They'll hire them to go into liquor stores and places like gas stations that sell cigarettes and stuff like that. They will go in. They will ask to purchase a pack of cigarettes, or they'll go and grab a bottle and bring it up to the front, and like a normal transaction, as if they're a customer, and they will see if they card. For the people who don't card, it's I'm not 100% sure the exact fine, but it's a pretty hefty fine for the individual that didn't card. It is also usually you get written up at your job for it, but is also a threat to their license. So like a business can lose their license. Are you looking up the fine?
Yeah.
It's like $500 or $700. It's like almost a paycheck. Or like a week, at least. Yeah, so they will get fined, like the actual individual, not the business. The business will also get fined, but the actual individual usually gets fined. So once this passes, they're going to be doing stuff like that for cannabis sales as well. And like, did you find the fine?
I'm looking for it. It was, I went to, like, I searched for it and it came up with the WeCard website, and it was like, in the case of Bob's store.
Right, and like, I think it also depends on the region. So like, tobacco sales are probably seen, or underage tobacco sales are probably seen a little bit less severe. I think more now because the vaping industry. But as far as alcohol, I think it's more chances. And the thing is most people, when they get busted like that, they usually lose their job as well, because it's
Now,
Okay, go ahead.
in terms of alcohol, if you unknowingly or unintentionally sell alcohol to a minor, the first conviction is a Class A violation and a fine of at least $200. Second conviction is a specific fine for violation up to $860. Third conviction is a Class A misdemeanor with a fine not less than $1,000. Fourth conviction, Class A misdemeanor with a fine not less than $1,000 and mandatory sentence of not less than 30 days in jail. The most extreme punishment for selling alcohol to a minor or visibly intoxicated person is a Class A misdemeanor, which is a criminal offense punishable by fines up to $6,250 and a year in jail.
Yeah, so like it's a serious thing. So when this passes, they're going to be doing the same thing for cannabis dispensaries. I believe they probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure that they do it in the medicinal cannabis places, but I'm pretty sure that they're pretty stringent on that kind of stuff because there's verification that occurs, I believe, in North Dakota. So yeah, it's not a joke, like, especially if, and like you were saying, it's multiple offenses will add up, and then you can each, like you said, fourth conviction is 30 days in jail. I mean, it adds up.
It's
And
heavy.
yeah, and so I believe it'll be the same thing with dispensaries. Like, it will probably be tested the same way. It will probably be, you know, carded the same way. Like, they'll have the same checks, and they might be doing it more often or something like that. Or if they have a complaint about a certain place, they'll actually do it. And this affects the person, the actual clerk, the employee of that business. And if they see it as a career field, it will hurt their chances of getting a job in the future. Because I'm pretty sure if you get something like that, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of database or some sort of way that they can check. If you're getting a job at like another gas station, you got busted for it before, they'll probably check, and your chances of getting that job are probably a little bit more slim.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, you know, everybody's gonna like have underage sales, and it's the same thing with underage drinking. Like, if you, for instance, if I threw a party and I had alcohol here, and somebody was underage, and it got busted, like for a sound or for a noise violation or something like that, and they come over and they see a whole bunch of drunk 16-year-olds, for instance, it goes on me. If I'm the one hosting the party, I'm the one who gets, well, they get a minor in consumption, but it also goes on the person hosting the party because I'm allowing it to happen. So it's not going to be that, like, it's going to be probably the same as alcohol. People get busted for minor in consumptions all the time. It's probably going to be the same thing with cannabis in that regard, that they'll run these checks, or if you're having, I don't know, a party, well, I guess, yeah, if you're having just a party and there's underage children there, or underage adults there, is that the right terminology? Either way. There's underage people there, and, you know, it gets loud, and a cop comes over, and they see a whole bunch of, or they smell a whole bunch of pot, and there's a child there, they're going to blame it on you. Like, you're going to get the charge as well. So
Yeah, you're entirely responsible.
yeah, so whereas in an illicit, like making this illegal, yeah, you're going to have people who consume, or who get busted and they're underage, but it's kind of treated the same as if you're overage. So it kind of hurts more people in that regard, and that's the thing about recreationalization. It's going to make it so that the people who can consume it and who are responsible for about their use, and, you know, they are not, I mean, there's probably going to be some people that party crazy on it, but like, who see a medicinal value and they just don't have the money to get a medical card, or they, you know, want to consume a plant on their own property. They can grow it, they can smoke it, and they can possess it, and they don't have to be worried about going to jail.
And again, the biggest thing about it is, as you said, on your own property. It's about personal freedom.
Yeah, that's another one. So that.
And I also
Go ahead.
just want to throw down real quick. I have to mention it. I hate how this state is called conservative all the time, or like the people here are very conservative. But one of the staples of being a conservative is personal freedom and the right of that freedom honoring your own property.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and it bugs me because, you know, we talk about cannabis and it's nope. We need the government to tell us what to do.
And
it's like, how do you call yourself a conservative when you're begging for a higher authority to tell other people what to do or how to live in or on their own property?
Yeah, and that's actually another thing that I find very confusing as well. Is that's actually a really good point. Like, so this is a very generalized thing. Don't quote me exactly word for word. Not every single Democrat and every single Republican has the same morals and the same like views. But the Democrat is more for government involvement. It's financial aid type of stuff. Yeah, it's like more government involved. Like their view is the government is good. The government should help the people. They are serving the people. Whereas in a Republican stance, it's hands off until it absolutely needs to be dealt with.
For the people, by the people.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and prohibition is definitely not that view. So, yeah, anyway, the Surgeon General clip, he kind of took it out of context, so I kind of want to show the full, well, not the full hearing, it's about 5 minutes long, but the full, what he meant, what he said in the House, I believe it was a House hearing, it could have been a Senate hearing, either one, what he said. It was a very small meeting. You can, I don't know, they don't pan too far back, but quite literally there's 2 people, and then there's a 2 people that are testifying. There's 2 people hearing the testimony and 2 people testifying, and then the people you see behind them are the aides of that person, or are just sitting in on a meeting because West Wing. That's why. Yeah, let's just play this one. Oh, not bad. Let's not do that. Okay. All right, cool. I swear I'm really good at doing this. All right, so here is the full testimony. I'm gonna be able to pause it, so I'm probably just gonna point out the thing that he was saying and how much it's starkingly almost word for word of what he said in the point of view clip. This is him talking before he had said this, so.
Marijuana advisory with you and to join national experts to discuss
Are we in timeout again?
a complex issue that I feel demands our attention and our action. As you mentioned, in August 2019, I issued a Surgeon General's advisory on marijuana use in the developing brain, emphasizing the importance of protecting our nation from the health risks of marijuana use in adolescents and during pregnancy.
Okay. I just wanted to say I found a list of statistics that I don't want to run
and
through.
young people, widespread and growing
Or,
access
honestly, I
to
put that on for
increasingly
next week.
potent marijuana through legalization at the state level, and mounting evidence that marijuana use poses a risk
haven't put
to
it up
healthy brain development
Because
and to
we're
public
we're
health.
running on time. We still
As
got
Surgeon General, I've visited with
story or two to
communities and
go through.
clinicians in places like
a few
California
things.
and Colorado,
And again, these are all things
Georgia
we can
and
push to
Texas,
next week as well.
Nevada and Oklahoma. And as a former state health commissioner myself, I've spoken with health department leaders across the country, my friends, many of them reluctant overseers of an enormous and poorly informed national public health experiment. Over and over, I hear great and escalating concern about the rapid normalization of marijuana use and the impact that a false perception of its safety is having on our communities, and specifically our young people and our moms-to-be. As you mentioned, sir, as of today,
You see how he said, our young people and our moms-to-be. So this testimony is only about developing brains and mom and pregnant moms. Well, I guess you're technically a mom when you get pregnant. Moms-to-be, let's use that word.
There we go.
states in the District of Columbia have legalized marijuana in some way. I'll say it again. We're conducting a massive public health experiment on our citizenry. And with greater legalization, young people are reporting a decline in perceived harmfulness of the drug. In 2018, only a third of adolescents said they thought weekly marijuana use was harmful. Marijuana is now the third.
Okay. Weekly marijuana use. I mean, no offense, but like, weekly marijuana use is kind of not really a like hothead, or I don't know what the actual term is, but like, in my opinion, somebody who smokes every once in a while, isn't really like super into cannabis. They probably do it for like a way to relax after a hard week, or anything like that. Like I don't feel like that's somebody who would, I mean, they would benefit from this law, obviously, but who wouldn't like be able to take full advantage of the law. Like they're not going to be the people who grow, that self-grow. They're not going to be that kind of person. Like I don't know why you would, but I mean, as far as like if you're a smoker once a week, like I guess there's going to be people like that, but also it's a cheaper alternative in that case. But yeah. Anyway, let's go on.
The most commonly used illicit substance in adolescence, behind alcohol and e-cigarettes. Last year, over 9 million 12 to 25-year-olds reported marijuana use, and each day, 3,700 adolescents become new marijuana users. Unfortunately, the scary truth is that while the perceived harm of marijuana is decreasing, the potential for harm is actually increasing due to widespread access, increased potency, in multiple forms. Marijuana is now everywhere, especially in states that have legalized, and it can be.
No shit. Sorry, just had to throw that one out there. No shit. It was everywhere before. The thing is like what I can't fathom and what I can't wrap my head around is how they're saying that now it's everywhere. I mean, I guess the use probably went up, but like, who, when you were a teenager, who didn't know somebody that you could pick up from?
Smoked,
Oh.
drunk, eaten,
It's not like it's
and
ever
vaped.
not been
As I
here.
like
What was it? Sorry.
Oh,
Oh,
I can only catch little bits of it. I thought you were talking about like the availability of cannabis.
yeah. I guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's never not been here.
Right. It's not like it came in overnight.
to say, this ain't your mama's marijuana. Not enough people know that today's marijuana is far more potent than in days past. The amount of THC has increased threefold in commonly cultivated plants over the last few decades, and dispensary products are often much stronger. Edible oils and waxes can deliver unpredictable concentrations of THC, often at 70% or more. This is important because the higher the THC concentration, the higher the risk to our young people. Across the country, we've seen increased emergency department visits for psychosis and for non-fatal overdose. And the early and more often a person uses marijuana, especially at these higher THC levels, the greater the peril. Nearly 1 in 5 people who begin marijuana usage during adolescence will become addicted. Yes, you can become addicted to marijuana.
Okay, let's have this conversation. Okay. Would you, and I'm gonna have the chat up as well, would you, so would you see the use, do you believe that there's a mental addiction that occurs when you're like a daily smoker?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, psychologically, I think it's not. I
But like, okay, so what would be, I guess, your definition of an addiction? I suppose. Let's go with that first. Like, doesn't have to be the actual Oxford Dictionary version. Just like, what do you? Okay. So like for me, like because I've gone to rehab and this was like the because when I was using, even though it was opiates and it certainly was an addiction, I was just kind of denying everything and yeah. So for me, I was just like, look, this thing isn't hurting me in regards to my normal use. The only thing that was hurting me was the law. But for the way that she explained it was, and this is like what is normally said to you in addiction counselors. Um, it's something that you need to actually continue your day-to-day life. It's if you don't have it, you can't continue your day-to-day life. Like you can't go out and do something without thinking about this one thing. So, like it has a physical withdrawal effect. For me, addiction to cannabis isn't really an addiction at all. The only thing you're addicted to is the escape that one would get from smoking. And I think that that's kind of uh, the the thing that people like CDC and drug counselors and stuff like that, the way that they get their statistics is based on how many people they diagnose as addicts, and that kind of just signs the whole addiction uh, like statistic. So if they diagnose people with cannabis dependency, there's going to be more statistics for cannabis dependency, and they're going to see, oh, looks like 1 in 10 people are addicted to cannabis because 1 in 10 people have sought treatment, usually because of law. They usually get busted, they go to court, the court says, hey, you can go to prison. Well, actually, it's usually the prosecutor usually doesn't go to court. So usually in a legal case, especially in cannabis, you get busted. If it's a misdemeanor or felony, it's different. So if it's a felony, you're usually the one that goes to court. You have your first day like it's a kind of like a hello type of hearing, where you just kind of say guilty or not guilty. Always say not guilty. Um, and then the judge sets up a date for the next court date. And then usually the prosecutor, either that same day or the next day or a couple days later, sends you a letter or talks to your lawyer and says, hey, if he says guilty at his next hearing, we will only recommend 30 days, or we will only recommend a fine of $500. We don't want to go to trial, because every single prosecutor does not want to go to trial because it costs a lot of money, and your chances of actually a conviction is a lot lower than if you just have the person admit that they're guilty or plead guilty. So they will try to get you to plead guilty before even trial. Yeah. And another thing is one of those stipulations that prosecutors will usually do is say you need to go get a Rule 25, which is a chemical dependency assessment. You go to a rehab, or a chemical dependency counselor, which is sometimes not a rehab. Like there's one in Grand Forks, for instance, where you pay like $300 and you get a chemical dependency assessment, but they're not an actual rehab. So you go and you see a counselor, and obviously the counselor is, because in definition of an addiction is something that affects your day-to-day life. Going to court affects your day-to-day life. So you're going to be marked as a chemical dependent person to cannabis. That's where that statistic comes from. So 1 in 10 people that they checked at one point probably had a court case. There's some people that do, like, have issues with cannabis and they can't learn to control it, and they seek help. There are some people. I went to rehab with somebody who their parents forced them, but who legitimately actually like said that he had a problem, as far as self-control when it came to that, stuff like that. But it's not as common as somebody who was, smoking in their car and a cop comes knocking on their door or on their window. So that statistic in just general, I just can't. Yeah. So let's go on. It's almost over, I promise. That's probably as much as we need to see about that. So, oh wow, I didn't even play it. Wow. Anyway, yeah. Let's see if I can just rewind it back a second. All right.
Emergency department visits for psychosis and for non-fatal overdose. And the early and more often a person uses marijuana, especially at these higher THC levels, the greater the peril. Nearly 1 in 5 people who begin marijuana usage during adolescence will become addicted. Yes, you can become addicted to marijuana. Science tells us frequent marijuana usage during adolescence can impair a child's attention, memory, and decision-making, and young people who regularly use marijuana are more likely to show a decline in IQ and school performance, are more likely to drop out, and are even more likely to attempt suicide. In pregnant women,
So there we go. That's oh, okay. I guess he dropped out. All right. So that's where that statistic of lower IQ and the oh, I was trying to make it smooth. I was trying to do that in a smooth way, but that didn't work out so well. Oh hey, okay. Yeah. So that's where that statistic comes from is like you have the people who went and got busted and they went to court. Um, so it's kind of interesting the way that he said it. The way that he said it was the people who have admitted to using cannabis have had an increased chance of dropping out of high school, and then after that, he says, and lowering their IQ. It's kind of in the same group, and I feel like that is kind of misleading because I'm not sure. I've never dropped out, but do they do an IQ test to you after you drop out, or like when you're dropping out? Like, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where that whole suicide thing came from because I found that really interesting. When I heard the suicide thing, I was like, what? Like, is this new? And I need to see sources of this new thing because that is a very, very interesting view or interesting statistic. Because, like, yeah, it's interesting, but um, let's see here. Because we're already like an hour and 13 minutes in, and I'm trying to keep this like not a 3-hour stream. I'm not trying to be Mr. Metokur. Nobody knows who the fuck that is, so. Oh, by the way, in the stream we do talk about adult topics, and we also swear sometimes. I should have said that at the beginning. I usually do. Um, right. So, the just a couple little small stories that happened. We're just gonna kind of jump through them super quick. And then have a little conversation about them. Actually, how about we do it like this? I'm gonna run through 3 super quick, and then we will go into Discord and take calls. How about we do that? Does that sound like a better idea? I think that sounds like a good idea. So, oh, that's the wrong one. Shit. Okay. There we go. So the House panel voted about this isn't like 100% because this was just through the House, but or maybe it is. Either way, there was a bill that was approved on Thursday. It would repeal the loss of FAFSA if you have a drug conviction. So now as it stands, well, before this happened, if you got a low-level possession charge or anything that has to do in the class of drugs, you would lose financial aid for your college, usually adding to dropping out of college, which is what happened to me. I got a conviction not like 6 months after I started college, which was really depressing. And I couldn't get financial aid from there. And I mean, I'm not going to be able to afford 30 grand a year. So yeah, I had to drop out. But it was the first law that made you lose. This was called the Higher Education Act aid elimination penalty. It was in 1998, and they have overturned it. So yeah, that's just kind of a little short one of it. The other one is the Senate. And this is an interesting little aspect to it. The Senate had approved a bill for the funding for the Justice Department when it came to cannabis in medicinal and recreational states. So this isn't that the federal government can't arrest somebody for having a dispensary. This is they can't spend money to investigate a dispensary. They also added some hemp and CBD related language into it when it came to that, simply because it's federally illegal. Well, in most states, I think there's only 2 that kind of limit it in some case. I'm not 100% sure about that one, but this basically would allow or would stop the Justice Department from investigating a dispensary that's in a medicinal shop and that the state is allowing either for medicinal or recreational use. This would stop them from being able to investigate or to spend federal funding money for that. I'm sure there's probably going to be a workaround that they're going to work on. I'm sure of it. But that's another thing that occurred.
It's not like we haven't seen this before.
Right. The next one. This one I had planned to kind of make funny, but yeah. Vaping, because we obviously do not have enough vaping related news on a day-to-day basis. Like last week, Juul, somebody had gotten fired and sued Juul for wrongful termination because they they kind of were like a whistleblower almost, about expired vape cartridges. Anyway, we have way too much news about vaping. But the CDC Principal Deputy Director Anne Shuchat, I'd like to say that that's the right way to say it. She basically was saying, I do think that labeling and information can help people know what they're getting, and then the systems that are there to enforce that the product is what it says it is can help the consumer. Essentially, she also went on to say, the FDA has taken a regulatory authority for tobacco and now has plans around the e-cigarette regulatory authority. The ingredient information will need to be provided on vape cartridges, and the THC, like if it's a vape cartridge for THC, you'll be able to see the ingredient list, and in that ingredient list they'll also be able to regulate at the state level the what can and can't be in a vape cartridge. So it just so happens that regulation of a product protects a consumer.
Yeah. We've been about this since the first report of, more than just a few of the cases of people dropping from tainted cartridges. For one, we've been about if it was regulated, people would know what they were buying.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody was getting sick from vitamin E acetate cartridges and they went out to purchase some more cartridges and it says, first of all, the FDA or the state would be able to regulate and be like, no, you can't have any vitamin E acetate vape cartridges. You can't sell that. You're not allowed to. They can then also be able to see, like, with their eyes on the ingredient list, it says, oh, vitamin E acetate, or hey, I'm allergic to this specific oil, I shouldn't be purchasing this, and this is the reason why I'm getting sick whenever I use that product. So yeah, that's kind of that regards. So we're just going to jump into Discord calls super quick. I know I'm sorry, I'm kind of just jumping through them, but we're at an hour and 20 minutes, and I really don't want to have a 5-hour long stream because it's a lot easier for somebody to watch an hour and a half versus 5 hours. So if you are on Discord and you would like to call in and join the conversation, feel free to join Discord. We are here, so if you have like any comments, questions, concerns, or anything like that, feel free to jump into the on-air channel, voice channel, and the best way to do that would be to, let me just, there we go. Don't want to expose my DMs. uh, so you can just jump into here, and you can talk with us about any of your views or positions on the stories that we went through. Yeah. So I don't know, like what? Okay, so out of all these stories, which ones did you find the most interesting? I guess let's go with that.
I like that the deputy director of the CDC is, you know, on board with basically every organization pushing for legalization.
Or for
That's a good
regulation,
stance. Yeah, like it's a good stance for somebody in a government position to have.
Right. Yeah. And the thing that okay, so out of all these stories, the one that I found the most interesting to me was the Higher Education Act elimination penalty. Um, so it's a lot of people aspire to get a college education when they get out of high school. Like, I really don't know that many people who are like, well, I'm not going to go to college. There's some people that do that and are like, hey, I want either a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, or they just want to jump into the workforce right then and there. But to disqualify somebody, just in general for drug use, because cannabis, well, I mean, there's the saying that experimentation happens in college. People experiment with everything. They want to experience something. And for some people, they find experience with cannabis to be something that they enjoy and they want to try it. And what would happen if, like, it would be kind of a fuck my life type of moment that if you are trying cannabis for the first time in college, you're going to school, and second or third year, and you're like, hey, you know, my buddy, he smokes, and I want to smoke. I want to try it at least, and you're smoking, and knock, 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 a police officer shows up, and you get a ticket, and that disqualifies you from continuing college. That's that's life ruining.
Yeah, that's devastation.
Yeah, like, you got the charge, so your chances of getting a job is way lower. But to add insult to injury, you can't even finish school. So you can't even be able to get, I don't know, to change or to like add more to your life or to fix the shortcoming of having that charge. You can't even continue going to school because you usually can't afford it. It's like 30 grand. So you can't even go to school to have a better job, so you don't go back into like a low income. It's a statistic, I know, generalization, but like lower income is where you see a little bit higher use when it comes to just illicit drugs in general. I don't know about the specific one about cannabis, but higher use of illicit substances are usually seen in a lower income house, specifically because they just want to escape their situation in a low income situation myself. So, yeah, it's kind of like escape type thing. And yeah, but you can't continue going to school to try to get away from a low income situation, which makes you more susceptible to use. So it's kind of like a rolling rock effect or a snowball effect. And yeah, I don't know. That's my view. Of course, everybody doesn't have the same views as ours. Let me also, I should have put this, and I think I'm going to do it next week. My views are my own. They do not reflect the entire group. They don't even reflect sometimes Anthony's views. So, like, we are all allowed to have our own views, our own assumptions. I know it might be rude or harsh or something like that. I'm just kind of, I guess, more, I don't know, edgy. How about that one? So, I guess
I
nobody's...
lack political correctness, and
That's the right one.
edgy. Yeah, edgy is a good way to put it, but I don't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
And my point of view is very raw.
Yeah. So, seems like this little Discord idea didn't really work out so well, because I'm not really seeing anybody jump in. I don't know, let's see. We just had somebody...
Next time, kids, be there, be square.
Right? Also, you know, this whole thing was this Discord idea was kind of a test, so if you guys have any ideas of stuff you'd like to see, stories you'd like to see covered, feel free to email me, philip.pilko@ndforfreedom.com. It's super cool, huh? I get my own email address. But yeah, no, if you have, again, like we were saying before, if you would like to support us in any sort of way, like if you have an idea or anything like that, feel free to reach out. This is a group effort. There's no boss. There's no, like, you know, person that you have to, like, answer to. If you have an idea and you have something that you would like to talk about, or an idea, we can bring it to the group, have a conversation about it. If it's something that everybody agrees with, or we kind of all see, you know, your perspective and what can be done, or like what you'd like to have done, and maybe the right way of doing it as a part to, like, legally or anything like that, we'll probably do it. If the funding is available, we'll probably do it. So yeah, other than that, thank you guys very much for watching. Again, this is a weekly show. It usually doesn't run, well, actually we're hitting an hour and a half, so actually it does run about an hour and a half. But typically, every Sunday from 6:30, runs about an hour and a half. This time we did 6:45, but we are trying to go for 6:30. Yeah, so other than that, thank you guys for watching. I'm really happy that we had the response that we did. It's actually been a pretty lively chat, a lot more lively than the first stream that I did. We have 4 people watching right now. I don't know if that includes me, but yeah, I know 4 people doesn't sound like a lot, but the after views, the views afterwards also show up a lot. So. Yeah, also, if you are a business that has a petition, that has one of our petitions, and you would like to have some sort of exposure when it comes to your business, please reach out to me. We do not charge for this. We will definitely shout you out because it's not respect. We are very happy and we are very grateful for all the businesses that support our petition, that have the petition available for people to sign, and we would like to give back to you. So if you are a business that has a petition, please reach out to me and we will definitely shout you out, kind of talk about your product a little bit, give you a link. I don't know, it's the best I can do. But I'm very grateful for all the businesses because I feel like that's the easiest way for people to sign. So yeah, other than that, thank you guys very much for your time and for hanging out with me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it a little bit. I aimed for a little bit more debate, but it didn't work out so well. So we started
Next
talking.
time, man.
Yeah, next time. Also, if you want to join the group, or not the group, but the calls and stuff like that, and the show, reach out to me as well. Thank you guys. Bye.